guests really, and yeah, exactly. And the best place I could kind of think that would be a good place to start to get some guests would be the forum. So obviously went a long time user of the forum, Pinkin Forum. I thought, right, let's just test the water out a little bit here, see what sort of response we'll get. And I think something on, we think 8 of the first 10 guests come from that Pinkin post.
Right. Oh wow.
So it was like guys like Mark Hall that came and saw all of the social media stuff that we were doing and thought, I want to get involved in that. So we've had a few people just sort of come off that as well, really. So it's just been brilliant. And I always say this is it's a very selfish thing for me that I just enjoy talking to Norwich fans, really, and that's something where I've kind of got to a stage perhaps last season where I wasn't enjoying it as much as I did previously, and this journey's kind of rejuvenated that love for Norwich, if that makes sense.
Oh, it does, because I'm completely with you. I think for me, since I'm going to be completely honest here, since Daniel Farke's sacking in 2021, no, I can't remember.
21.
Yeah, I was flabbergasted and it was really, I remember that evening. It's crazy. It's like, where were you when something happened, like JFK got shot or whatever? I remember we were having a house party at my flat that I lived in at the time. I was just so disappointed and disheartened. I didn't enjoy the house party at all. But I think my enjoyment of it sort of waned after Farke and how we sort of bottomed out of the Premier League that season, and then subsequent managerial shifts and stuff. So I hear what you're saying. I think when I replied to your advert, sounds like a dating site, doesn't it? When I replied to your advert, I was like, I don't really know what I'm going to say, because I just kind of thought, what do you want me to talk about, really? And like I said, at that point, I wasn't really like sort of as close to kind of like stuff as I had been in the past. So yeah, this definitely that, and then obviously you chased me up. That sounds weird, but chased me around for a few months, and I sort of relented after a while, didn't I? So if you keep pestering people, then eventually they fold. Is that fair to say? Jez, I don't know what you're. You keep breaking up. I'm just talking to myself right now, so you can probably edit this out. You're on green, but I can't hear you if you're talking. Good job there isn't any other guests on this episode, isn't it? Otherwise, I'd have to make awkward conversation with them. I'm still here, by the way.
I can hear you now.
Ah, yes. Here you go. What happened? Oh, you've gone again. And I don't know if I'm... Oh, no. It's working for me.
Is that any better?
Yeah, that's much better.
Okay. Yeah, okay, cool. So let's just leave it like this, because otherwise it's a fucking pain in the ass. Yeah, so if you ask me the last question, then I'll do some editing.
Okay, so the question was, what did you write in that Pinkin post?
Oh, wow. So that was something along the lines of...
You're not recording, by the way.
Oh, yeah, that'll help. Good job you said that. We could have been sitting there forever.
So what did you... That Pinkin post that you put on the forum, do you remember what you said? What you asked?
Oh wow. It was something along the like. So I'll have to stop there a second because I've just said "oh wow" twice. It was like
You're,
it's scripted.
you're amazed.
Um,
You're amazed by your own brilliance.
yeah, just because it just sounds scripted otherwise. Oh wow. Yeah, so I think it was something along the lines of new Norwich City podcast. I'd already picked the name.
Great name, by the
So
way.
thank you. Yeah, yeah. I just again with the naming of it, it was just something again where I just wanted to go. I didn't want it to just be like a typical sort of like the
Norwich.
Canary.
Yeah.
You know, the Norwich podcast or the Canary, and no, again, no disrespect to the guys that they picked that. It serves a purpose. I wanted it to be a little bit different, and a little bit out there, I guess. But yeah, so it was that. It was like starting a new Beyond the Barclay, the new Beyond the Barclay podcast. Anyone want to come on? Please let me know. And we had a lot of comments on the post itself, but equally, people were sending like yourself, and you were the first one to do it. Hence why you come on first. Just saying, yeah, I'd love to get involved, and the initial sort of response I got, I guess, pushed me on to kind of think it would be a good thing to do and carry it on, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, I've got a confession to make. Me and Glacier, our videographer, who, if the audience at home has seen some of our videos, have been handled by this guy Ben Glacier's name is. He's been a guest on this as well.
Yeah.
Me and him were thinking about doing a podcast about 6-7 years ago
Right.
on Norwich, but it's just I think and you'll probably agree with this, but it is a lot of work, isn't it? It's not like I suppose you can invest in it as much or as little as you like,
Yeah.
but it depends on your drive and ambition. But
Yeah.
I've found it is hard work, isn't it?
Yeah. I think it's in the sense that I see it as a hobby. And I previously was running a women's football team in Hertfordshire, and I just kind of came to the end of that journey and decided that I needed to do something.
Yeah.
To keep me sane sounds a bit melodramatic, but
No.
something that would mean something to me, and then mean something to Norwich fans sort of as well, really. So it was one of them. It was just like, well, what can I do in my time? Yeah, it can be a lot of hard work sometimes, but equally, it doesn't. I don't think it takes either of us away from
No,
our
it doesn't.
family almost as well. Does that make sense? So like, it's in effect, it's replacing one hobby for me. It's replacing one hobby with the other, and if that makes it an impact to one person, that's achieved it for me.
Yeah, I completely agree. And this isn't what is it, self backslapping or anything. I think
No.
to be honest with you, I I know that you were interested in kind of, I suppose, getting me involved more in it in those first sort of few months. And to be honest with you, I didn't at the time. I didn't have the bandwidth. I was going through a lot in my personal life, and I
Professional footballer that wants to tell his story and give up his time and give his opinions on things, and he's such a nice bloke, and it's just nice. And obviously yourself, it was I remember we met. We did the podcast, didn't we? And then we decided to meet up on the next game. Of heaven forbid what the game was. I can't even remember.
4-0.
That's right. And that was. It turned out to be my first game of the season, just through a few sort of personal circumstances. So it was, it was nice. It was just a night, and I felt, we sort of clicked pretty much straight away on, and I think we're quite different. I think, but at the same time, we're a bit the same. If that sounds a bit of a whatever the expression is, but I just think it just works really well. And when we do have the guests on, because we kind of sometimes we look at things through different lenses. I think that's quite important when you're interviewing a fan, and you can kind of sit on both sides of the fence sometimes.
Yeah, I think
not you personally, just in general.
Well, I think that with the people bring certain different skill sets to these to the podcast, and different personalities to the podcast. So it helps that, that you've got, I guess we got compared to Morecambe and Wise the other day, didn't we? I think
Yeah.
I think probably more the fact that you might look a bit. Is it Eric Morecambe with the glasses?
Yeah, I'd say that would be that would be who was who, wouldn't it? Let's be honest.
Yeah, because we're not that good.
Yeah.
But no, joking aside, I think it's about bringing different elements that people bring to the table. And I think I want to say, although they're not obviously involved in this podcast, this episode, but a massive thank you to Ollie Sadler, Killian O'Grady, and ABQ, as well as Ben Glacier for making our dreams a reality. And probably also want to say a shout out to your wife Fiona, Jez, for putting up with this absolute nonsense.
Yeah. She's because she's an Arsenal fan as well. She must think, what's he doing? But I think she can see it, what it means to me, and I hope she sees that. And it's it's never. If I ever felt that it was taking time away from her and Eddie, I'd step away from it straight away. But I don't think it does. It does, obviously, clearly. But I think sometimes in life you've got to have that release, haven't you? And as long as you feel like you spend time with your family and your friends and do that, and it doesn't. I think sometimes you got to have other things in your life to keep you sane.
Yeah, I think so. It's a big part of my remit in terms of work anyway is a lot of like research and talking to people. So I found this whole process, it was like a fairly easy to wear the slipper, as it were. It's been, and it's, I think the one thing I would raise, and I wanted to raise on this episode, is just how big Norwich City as a club is. And when I say this, I don't mean the usual terminology in terms of cups won or, back in 1980 or whatever. I mean just how much the club means to the community in Norfolk and East Anglia. But I didn't realise just how far it stretched worldwide. The amount of conversations that we've had. You enjoying your chocolate there, Jez? The amount of conversations that we've had with people from around the world, that Killian has put us in touch with, gratefully for that, and you doing your outreach to different. It's just incomprehensible just how big that club is and just how much it means to people. And I think that when we have these, we appoint these. We've appointed some sort of inexperienced managers or head coaches in the past, and I think people don't realise just how big Norwich, the football club, is until they're in it, till they're there, and they're like, "This is a pressure cooker. There is a lot riding on this," and I think some people can navigate it well, and some less so. But I mean, what do you think to what I've just said?
Yeah. I mean, we've experienced it firsthand throughout this process, haven't we? Some of the stories we hear, and people come to us and tell us stories about how they first started supporting Norwich City, and was one of them that they had a pet parrot or something.
No, that was Steve, and the episode's yet to go out. But it was a canary, that canary, which is, I mean, Steve, for those who don't know him, he's a great bloke from up north. I'm not going to do that again, but from the Bolton, Lancashire area, really thick Lancashire accent, and he supports Norwich because he had a pet canary. I mean, that's just excellent, isn't it?
Yeah, I think it is. And sorry, I'm halfway through a millionaire shortbread here.
I can hear that.
It's nice.
It's okay.
They've opened a cluster. Other coffee shops are available. They've opened a cluster coffee. On Stevenage Leisure Park.
Okay.
So as we record, I'm just on a break. So I thought I'd have a little millionaire shortbread.
That's great. Other baked goods are available.
Other shortbread items are available, usually from Scotland, I find. But no, I've completely forgot what we were talking about. Oh yeah, Steve's episode. So that's probably my best title of an episode ever, by the way. From Bolton to Bratwurst, who lives in Germany now.
Yeah, that is
Amazing.
that's kudos to you for doing that.
Cheers.
But yeah, I just also want to touch on the other side of Beyond the Barclay, and I think that again, for the 5 listeners that don't know, we also do Beyond the South Stand. So can you tell us a little bit about that as well?
Yeah. So again, it got to a stage where I was kind of thinking, we were doing these questions every week, and because it was always good to hear the stories, and the questions were varied enough that it wasn't an issue. But I kind of thought, well, we've heard from the Norwich fans now. Let's start hearing from the away fans that are coming to Carrow Road. So the first guy I had on was Adam Shortland, big friend of mine. I went to university with him, and we talked about Luton Town. That's obviously just been relegated. I don't, less said about that, the better, really. But he came on, and we spoke about Luton's journey, going all the way to the Premier League, and then obviously back down to the Championship, and yeah, obviously going the other way now. But it was good because it was sort of like we were looking through the lens of another club, and I kind of thought, well, actually, this has got legs. So I think we got a fan from every single club thereafter. So every single team that came to Carrow Road after the Luton game, which I think was October or November time. Yeah, we then got a fan from every club that was visiting, and that's now. Well, perhaps I'll let you talk about the unscripted version in the summer, but we are now looking to perhaps do some other clubs that we probably wouldn't have played, but have got a promotion story or a story attached to their club. So it's kind of evolved into something else.
Yeah, I mean, I think for me the one reason why I've enjoyed this so far is on the reflection of the season. I mean, let's face it, the season hasn't been great, but the storytelling, from fans perspectives of Norwich fans as well as rival fans. I mean, there's no disrespect here. It's been amazing because we all have the same woes. We all want our club to do well, but somehow there's always something to, there might be something to moan about, or it's just football fans, But so over the summer, we're going to be conducting Beyond the South Stand off script. So Jez, well, I craft questions up as well, but we ask fans 10 questions or 5 questions if they're opposition fans. But what we're going to do is we're going to speak to fans of all the clubs that have been promoted up the football pyramid, and obviously those clubs that have won the club that's won the Premier League, and those clubs who have been who've gotten into Europe. So you've got, hopefully, Nottingham Forest do manage to get into Europa or Champions League.
Yeah,
because it's an interesting story. It's something that obviously there's going to be a lot of euphoria that the fans will talk about. Some have never been into League Two, so I think it's a really different perspective on what it means. I'm not going to spoil it too much. I'm hoping we can get an extra special guest over the summer, Jez, and I think you know who I mean. So maybe we could try and get him and maybe a current member of the squad that we're talking about, but I don't want to spoil it.
No, of course. But yeah, no. So onwards and upwards, really, I guess, and we're looking forward to perhaps collaborating with the women's side a little bit more as well, because we've done a few bits and pieces with those guys recently as well. So, and that's been a great experience. So,
tell us a bit more about that, because I mean, it's something that I think has just kind of fallen into. I don't want to say fallen into our laps, but it seems that that's kind of where we're sort of headed a little bit.
Yeah, I mean, when was it now? We contacted. I can't remember the exact route of how we managed to get in touch with her, but we managed to get in contact with Alex Speednall, who's the Norwich City women's media lead at Norwich, to initially speak to Andy Cook, who was the ladies' manager. I think what it was actually was I contacted Andy through it was like one of the social media outlets to see if he would want to come on and tell his story, and he agreed, but he said it would have to go through the club.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah,
and he gave me Alex's details, which is is understandable. That's part of their role, isn't it? So contacted Alex. She got us. She was very very helpful. Set up the meeting with Andy. We had the initial. Well, not even the initial. It was the call, wasn't it? She came on the call. Then we sort of said, well, actually, it might be quite good to hear your story as well. So we spoke to Alex and got that sort of fabulous insight into working for Norwich. We then also spoke. We also spoke to Kerry Fly and Lauren Tomlinson. Shout out to those two. I think they were. It was a really good conversation, and it was funny, wasn't it? It was good. It was really, really good to, and it was really nice to meet them when we actually we got invited to go and spectate the ladies' game at Carrow Road a few weeks back, which was the 3-0 win, and I think we tried our hand on some dodgy commentary, didn't we? And
that was so bad.
Yeah.
That was so bad. I mean, I think that the reality is, like, it really goes to show just how good Chris Gorham and Rob Butler and anyone who actually is doing commentating or co-coms. It's I was just like, they've kicked the ball up the field. That's good. That's good. But it's a real. I want to say again a really big thank you to Alex Beadnall and Dan Hulkner, who've really helped us with getting access to the women's team and putting up with our insanity. I keep saying it, but it does feel like it, doesn't it? But I think so. I guess kind of what's next then? I mean, beyond. I always make this terrible pun, but beyond the South Stand off script, what next have we got lined up?
Well, I mean, we've got next season to look forward to first and foremost, and we'll be documenting Norwich City's promotion back to the Premier League, which I'm really looking forward to. No, it'd just be more of the same, more fan interviews from the guys. We are hoping to visit. Well, we will definitely visit Hitchin because it's literally on my doorstep and not far from you. So we're going to hit.
So do you want me to explain why?
Yeah, go for it.
Yeah, so me and Jez have. It was me forcing the issue, really. So Jez, you did a Christmas special, didn't you, last year, last Christmas?
Yeah.
And it was all the clubs in Europe nicknamed called the Canaries. We got a fair few fans from Medina, fans from Nantes in France, Carnarvon. And I was like, well, why don't we visit these clubs, and then you came up with the moniker Canary Club. You're very good at naming things, I've noticed.
Yeah, thanks.
No worries. So we're going to pay a visit to Hitchin Town to start with, and hopefully Carnarvon, and then sort of run it as a little mini series about our adventures across countries.
And then I mean that's the thing, isn't it? And it's just seeing it's not necessary. It's just a bit of a tenuous link. They're called the Canaries, but at the same time, it will be a thing that we can document. We're seeing other teams playing yellow and green. Get to know a little bit about the history of not only the football club but the town or the city. And the challenges like that they might face, or the ways they celebrate, etc. So it'll be an interesting journey. That.
Yeah, hopefully we can get that sorted. I think it would be wrong. It wouldn't be wrong. It would be remiss not to mention the move into visuals as well. We've been audio podding for this season, haven't we? With the odd video thrown in here and there. But I think we have decided to move onto a video format so you can see our ugly mugs more regularly.
I mean, for me, it's you know, there's more things you can do with visual as well. You can put perhaps sort of little, I don't know the right way of phrasing it, but you know, you've seen with with what we've done at the moment, free with Killian. So we did the Emmy Eurovision Song Contest entrant for Ireland. That's a big Norwich fan.
Yeah.
And he was able to put little photos in that related to what we were talking about and stuff like that. So rather than it just being, as you say, rather than it just be me and you droning on and talking rubbish a lot of the time, we can actually fill that rubbish with visuals for our audience. And
so people don't get bored of hearing our voices.
Yeah, probably. Yeah, so it's just really that, really, just to give a better experience to our 5 listeners.
Yeah, Jack, Dom, Jill, Mateus, and Xavier. Thank you for checking.
Brilliant.
It's the only one I could pull out of the air. But yeah, so that's something to look forward to. And I think what else have we got going on? Some more videos. We're keen to kind of advertise on Stall City, help push out the name of the memorabilia store in the forum. For those who don't know, it's a really, really good store run by some really great people in Andy and his family, who all the proceeds go to CSF. And they volunteer their time to sell new and used previous merchandise. So and then a trip to see fan of the season nominee Billy Pointer.
Yeah.
And his shirt and his used shirt collection. Yeah. And then obviously, hopefully, a trip to the Nest and to Duncan's club at some point.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, it was a great episode with Ronnie, wasn't it? And not only that, we've already booked in fan of the year Sue Quantrill, if she's not too famous now, to come on as well next season, and Neville Townsend, who's part of Forces to Canary. Okay. More fan chat, but also more what people do for their local community and the people that really matter to us as fans, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, I would completely agree. I think for the one of the best things about this podcast, and it's easy just to put content out there and go, yeah, this is a podcast. But I think for me, it's the fact that you have spoken to these people, when we go speak to Sue and Ronnie Moulton, who bless you, who have access to
Leave that in.
I will. So who have access to the CA? I was trying to make a serious point then.
I sneeze. Yeah. Apologies.
Who have access to stuff that CSF and getting involved in the Nest and all that kind of thing that maybe people don't know how to do, or maybe they don't know how to volunteer their time. And I'm hoping that by putting these pods out, it's given a few people an opportunity to maybe look at how they can get involved.
Yeah, that's it for me. It's exactly, they're really important things. Things is such a generalistic word, isn't it? But they're really important assets of our community, these types of projects.
Yeah.
And matey boy living halfway across the world in Sydney probably doesn't need that, but hopefully there's people that live local to Norfolk that really resonate with that and really benefit.
Yeah.
But it's also good for your man in Sydney to hear what the club do behind the scenes and what our fans are actively doing to make people's lives better.
Yeah, exactly.
That's it for me.
Yeah, that's exactly it. I mean, on that note, who has been, obviously other than me, who's been your what's been one of your favorite episodes? And I think let's put the person out, the actual personality out of perspective. But what's been one of your favorite episodes, and why?
there's been so many. Like I've literally come off every single episode and think, I love that. I love talking to that person, and it's got to be. I thought the Drew Broughton episode was amazing. First and foremost, I thought the way he delivered his message and talked about what he'd done.
I want to go into that in a little bit more detail because I was actually going to counter what you came back with that episode. Right. Carry on. Sorry.
No, that's okay. I'm looking through the. Can you still hear me?
Yes.
Looking through the list, which I'm going to bring up screen now, if it actually lets me, of previous episodes. Obviously, I'm not going to go through them all because we'll be here all night.
Yeah.
But you know, we had. Where is it now? I'll edit this out, or maybe I won't. Do you like the suspense?
No. No, I don't.
So, yeah, I mean, we had. Maybe I will go through them all. It'll only take me a couple of minutes. So, Chris, pardon?
We don't need to hear all of them.
All right, I'll go through a couple then. So, obviously, Chris was on second. He talked about the speedway up at Kings Lynn, I think it was, or Swaffham.
Yeah.
Nick Dye obviously lives in America. Big fan. He was on our Christmas special. Rob Butler was superb. You know, nice to hear some of the stuff he was talking about. We had that bonus episode with yourself and Mick Dennis, so that was your second appearance.
Yeah, of course, yeah.
And then Ken Sutton, that I've known for years, a big Norwich fan in Ireland. Chris Gorham. Chris Gorham needs no introduction. I think we all know the fabulous job he does with Norwich City. Then the first Beyond the South Stand episode with Adam. And you know, if I'm missing people, don't take offence by that. Every single one was special, but we're obviously just pressed for time a little bit. Rosie Webb came on and talked about her role as the coach developer in the FA Women's High Performance Centre. Oh, wow. She's done some work previously with Norwich City. The Christmas special was superb with all of the clubs around the world.
Yeah, that was fun.
And then we sort of jumping into the new year, we were talking to, I think your first South Stand episode was with Lincoln Pigman, the Brighton fan.
Yeah, he was great. Lincoln was great. I had a shout out to Lincoln if you're listening to this. Thank you for going on. It was really
I very much doubt he's.
he might be one of those 5 that like us.
Potentially. Killian was brilliant. Obviously, the introduction into the realm. Connor Southall, absolutely superb. Spud, we obviously met. We saw Spud a few weeks ago, didn't we?
Yeah, we did. Yeah,
we met up with Reece Lewis, the Stoke fan.
Yeah, he was great.
Your mate Ben Glacier obviously came on. He was superb. Chris and Nicole Nichols, the work that they do for Norwich City Women's Supporters Club was superb. Cootie, brilliant.
Yeah, that was great. Countdown, the quiz at the end where you forgot your own name.
Yeah, that's it. Andy Kirk was great. Obviously, totally Tetty. And then we had Ronnie that we've already mentioned. Jodie the Roadie just descended into a facts about Milton Keynes episode.
That went off piece, didn't it?
Very much so. Emmy was lovely. She's not really good. You know, it's probably not too long until she's competing now. So Kerry and Tomo, Alex Beagnall, obviously. We had the emergency podcast about Four coming. Leon Mallet. Hey, what a guy he was.
Yeah, Leon Mallet. He was good fun. Good value. I think for me, I mean, just going back, the one that made. I mean, you've talked about this podcast. You know, if someone listens to it and it makes them change or look at doing a change in their lives, then great. I mean, that's not why you set out to do these things. You don't, save your complex or anything. But I think for me, the one episode that really brought home some home truths to myself was the Drew Broughton episode. I stepped away after that podcast and I sort of realized I had some of my own problems to sort of deal with, overthinking, over drinking, and it really brought home to me just how much this notion of having this fear. So again, for those who haven't listened to it, Drew Broughton, as former Norwich player, is now an international fear coach and high performance athletes. But you can take that mindset and look into your own life and go, why am I doing this stuff? What's stopping me from achieving what I've always wanted to? Or, it was an amazing episode. And it started me on my own journey of reflection and thinking about how I can improve my lifestyle and make some more positive lifestyle choices. So I think for me, that was one of the best episodes that you've done, and obviously I've been involved with. Ronnie's also was quite an emotional one, I think, too. After coming off the back of that, I think we were both a little bit like, well, that was there's a special place in. Sadly, my uncle passed away with dementia, and the Ronnie episode talked about Duncan's Club and the great work that those volunteers put into Duncan's Club to help people with dementia and Alzheimer's. I think remember elements of using the power of the football club to help them remind of good times. So I think those two for me were probably the most poignant.
And the Tommy Boyd episode.
Jez, go and tell the audience what is this? What is the Tommy Boyd episode?
Well, Tommy Boyd episode was Tommy Boyd was an old, foremost, first and foremost, he was a kids' TV presenter. Well, I think he did stuff previous to that, but that was his big breakthrough. And then he then became the talk show king, shall we say, of Talk Sport, of Talk Radio as it was then. And run a show called The Human Zoo, which was literally the calls went straight to air. So you had all manner of different characters that would come on and give their stories, and the certain characters that came on every week, and it was a fun thing to listen to back in the day, and certainly helped me for a very difficult stage of my life. It was an absolute pleasure to not only speak to one of my heroes, I guess. I don't know, that's not overstating it. And to sort of kind of like build that relationship really, and we're looking to perhaps go and visit him next year when we, luckily Portsmouth stayed up, so that's something that we'll hopefully be able to do next season, and go and visit him in real life and share some more experiences with him, and definitely get him on again next year. I think there's a lot of untold stories that we can unwrap. The hour and whatever it was in that episode, we just didn't get a chance to do. But so much more that I want to ask him, and that was one of my favourite episodes for sure.
Yeah, I know that you were a bit starstruck, I think, at some points, and I had to fill in. But it was it was a really good episode, because it was a Beyond the South Stand episode, not a Barclay. So we're obviously talking to a rival fan, but it was one for the to remember. Yeah. So as we move into the sort of, I suppose, the last 15 minutes of this hour, I want to ask you some questions about your fandom, because what is that laugh?
I don't know.
Bizarre. Because you've always facilitated and asked questions, but no one's really ever asked you any.
Okay. Go for it.
So, what's your full name?
Jeremy William Davies. I didn't know that because I had to apply for a passport last week, so I had to memorise that.
Yeah, it's good that you know your full name. Yeah. So, what's your earliest Norwich City Football Club related memory?
Well, I mean, I've started supporting Norwich probably at the age of I was quite a late comer.
You've gone off again.
Can you still hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
I don't know how much of that you got, because I had a phone call coming in. So I went to the first ever game was a school trip. To go and watch Norwich. It was Wimbledon, and we lost, I believe, which was great. But we were sat in the upper Barclay, right at the back. So at that time you sort of had a roof that was diagonally sort of down. So when the ball went up in the air, you couldn't really see it. But I just remember sitting there watching it and thinking, "Oh, this is all right." So then my first ever sort of season ticket, and we talked about it during the game at Carrow Road, was in the South Stand, and it was £17.
Wow.
And from there we were there for a couple of seasons. It was the season where we nearly made the playoffs. So we had a couple of sort of draws towards the end of that season where I remember we were 2-0 up in games. One of the games was Sheffield United, I think. We were 2-0 up, and Ewan Roberts scored a couple, I think, and just missed out on the playoffs. And then I think it was the following season where we did make the playoffs. We went to Cardiff.
Yeah.
So I remember that trip to Cardiff vividly, and the bus, the Club Cabbage bus trip to the Millennium Stadium, and the quiz on the bus where I can't remember. I think it was who's Man United's shirt sponsor was one of the questions, and the guy was like a Vodafone. It is his best Norfolk accent. That's one of the options he gave was is it Vodafone or is it O2 and all this? So yeah, that was pretty fun. Obviously the result of the game wasn't fun. It was we lost on penalties, but yeah. So from there, really, I guess it was that was how I sort of got involved being a Norwich fan. Okay. Various soccer schools as well back in that sort of time as well, where I was going to the summer soccer schools and saw. I don't know if you remember a player called Jamie Shaw.
Vaguely, I do, yeah.
Yeah, he's blighted with injuries, and I think had he sort of been around these days, obviously the recovery of injuries these days are second to none. But I think he was around at a time where he sadly didn't recover from that injury, and was came down and done a week with us. We were doing a soccer school, and the likes of Phil Hoadley and even like player appearances. So Brian Gunn I met on one of these and had a photo with him and stuff. So yeah, they're my very early memories of following Norwich.
Yeah, I mean it's kind of you end up. I think, like I said, I don't want to go over mine game because it's the first ever interview, and I don't need to do that. But you end up getting roped in because it's like, I went to the Norfolk show, and you go to the Norwich City stand, and you get your bag of goodies, and you've got your little pen and like flashy pen and stuff. But yeah, it's one of those. So I guess because we've covered kits over the season. What's been your ultimate favorite kit, and what shirt would you die for? Well, die for is a bit much, but you know what I mean.
Well, there's two. So first and foremost, the kit that we won, the Daniel Farke's first season, winning promotion. So obviously his first season we didn't win promotion, but you know what I mean. The second one. Where he won promotion, it was the sort of the remake of the Egg and Crest kit with the sort of the diamonds and stuff around the.
I remember.
It was and it was just sort of like I don't know. I think because we did so well in the story of that season and all the characters around that season, that shirt I kind of fell in love with really. In terms of the away shirts, I really like the navy blue one with the fluorescent yellow and green bits on the side.
Okay.
And again, I can't really tell you why. I just really like that. Really like that shirt.
Mine's the white Asics.
Yeah.
I really, really want that shirt. And actually, weirdly, do you remember that green away shirt that we had when we did those funny little those Italian videos, those with the Grant Holt on the scooter and stuff? Do you remember that?
Yeah. That
green one. I really like that one. Don't know why. It just appeals to me.
Yeah.
So what else do we usually ask people? I can't remember all of these podcasts that we've done. Okay, I know what I can ask you, because you bring this up all the time. It's become a bit of a thing. Tell us about your time as a football player.
My time as a football player, bloody hell. So when I was, I don't know, maybe sort of 12, 13, maybe 14, I joined my first ever club with Drayton. and we obviously lived in Horsford at the time. And Horsford, I can't really remember, but I don't think they had a youth side. So I joined Drayton. Didn't really get a look in there, so I joined Taverham, which was it must have been when I was at high school. So yeah, joined them. I was at the age of 14. I was about a good foot taller than my peers. It was I looked ridiculous. I looked like Peter Crouch. Honestly, scored quite a few goals. To be fair, I was a striker. But I think I looking back at it, I think it was just because I was so much bigger than the other players. I was just a bit of a. I'm not saying I bullied players, but I think when I was running towards them, they got a bit scared because of my height and stuff. And I remember a lot of my goals. I used to just sort of dribble it around the goalkeeper and slot it in. But this is going to sound like I'm bigging myself up. I'm really not. I missed a lot as well. But I just found that I had that natural ability to score goals. And it's only again, I sound like I'm massively bigging myself up. I'm not.
All right, Marco Stieperman.
Yeah, exactly. But no, I played a bit for them, and my first ever adult side, I scored a hat trick on my first ever game for Horsford C team, I think it was.
Right.
Scored from the halfway line that season as well. Bloody hell, I'm massively bigging myself up, aren't I?
Well, for you, no one else will.
No, exactly. Played a bit at uni. Got a bad knee injury. I was actually, funny enough, I used to work for Stevenage Football Club in their academy.
Right.
And the supporters had a supporters football team, so they'd go and play. Say, for instance, the game where I got injured was against Milton Keynes, so they went to go and play Milton Keynes on the supporters team.
Yeah.
Goalkeeper came rushing out, and I again tried my usual, took it around him, but the defender clubbed me from behind. Clobbered me, is that a word? Clobbered. And the goalkeeper so my knee got caught in between the goalkeeper and the defender, and I basically ruptured my ACL.
Right. Oh dear.
And to this day, I've never been able to get that repaired. It doesn't, from day to day, it doesn't hurt. Sometimes it's a bit, but I could never risk really playing again. I played for a team in Hatfield a few times, but that was that. Yeah, so never really a great player, to be honest, mate. Only sort of grassroots level, I guess. But I've moved into management quite early on. I was managing a ladies team in Norfolk for a bit before I left and went to university, and managed a few teams in Bedfordshire and Hertfordshire as well.
Okay, that's good.
Yeah,
that's why you've got a bit of an insider's knowledge to tactics.
Something
don't know
like
why I said it in South African accent. Tactics.
Tic-tacs.
Did you know that Pearl Jam wrote a song about you? I've been meaning to say that the entire season, and I keep forgetting. Jeremy. It's called Jeremy. Jeremy is spoken. Yeah.
Sounds like Pearl Jam, to be fair. But no, I didn't know that.
Yeah.
The only Pearl Jam song I know is Alive.
I'm still alive. Yeah.
Don't sing too well because they'll do us for copyright.
I don't think that was well. I don't think that was good.
Yeah.
So I think just moving into the next season.
Yeah.
And I'm gonna throw a cat amongst the pigeons right now.
Yeah.
I'm not at all. It's really not like that. Jack Wilshere, yes or no?
This is going to sound like I'm sitting on the fence massively.
You love doing that, though, don't you?
Well, I've got some splinters on my backside.
Is that what you call it?
Yeah. I think there's certainly some positives about keeping him in the sense that it's a continuation of Napper's vision. But I don't think he's. My personal opinion is I don't think he's quite ready yet, and I think he needs another coach just to come in over the top of him and just give him another year or two before he might be there. I just think it's come around too quickly. I don't think they thought for 1 second that Forup would leave as quickly as he did, but they had to make that choice. I've seen reports or seen the betting odds for Ralph Hasenhüttl will drop over the last couple of days, and that would be a really good appointment.
I don't know. I don't know enough about I don't know enough about Hasenhüttl to really make much of a comment on it. I think for me, appointing Jack Wilshere is as much of a gamble as appointing anyone.
Yeah.
He's obviously been around the players for a while. He knows he knows the club. He knows the deal. He knows the club knows his strengths and weaknesses as well. He's got great pulling power, not just with the ladies. No, I'm joking. But with footballers, that want to come to Norwich to play under him.
Yeah.
So that can't really be discounted. If he gets appointed, I sounded really Norfolk then, didn't I? If he gets appointed, I won't really bat an eyelid. If he doesn't, I would be curious as to see whether he decides to stay or whether he decides to go elsewhere.
Yeah.
That's my thinking. But interesting times, I would say. Interesting summer ahead.
Yeah, I think so.
Any other questions from me to you? People want to know what your favourite colour is.
Do they?
No, but
yellow.
Is it actually?
Yeah.
Is it really? You're not having me on?
No, I mean I quite like yellow, but the other colour I quite like is green.
Oh, get out! I'm actually my favourite colour is green.
Yeah.
That's mad, isn't it?
It is. Yeah.
What kind of hue of yellow? Golden, canary?
I'd probably have to say canary if I was pushed.
I'm more of a forest green, darker green.
Okay, interesting.
Yeah, or black. But as we know, Jeremy, black is a shade, not a colour.
Yeah. I was reading something the other day that was saying something along the lines of purple isn't real.
It's green. Yeah, it's an optical illusion or something.
Yeah, it's because our brains have been trained to say, well, that's purple, and what your definition of colour means might not be what my definition of colour is. So we might see colours completely different to each other.
Yeah.
How weird is that? We're probably going down a bit of a rabbit hole here, but that's beyond the Barclay.
It goes beyond the Barclay, doesn't it?
Yeah.
And lastly, what film would you recommend the listeners to view? What would be one of your film recommendations of late?
Well, of late, I mean, to be honest with you, I quite like. I've always liked Pulp Fiction. Okay. I think Pulp Fiction's a brilliant film. For any age, really. Anyone. It's universal, isn't it? It's not. But no, Pulp Fiction is great. Green Mile. I always like the Green Mile. What else? What other films?
I watched Bullet Train yesterday with Brad Pitt, and it was so good. If you like your kind of Guy Ritchie, like tongue-in-cheek, dark humour, gangster sort of stuff, I highly recommend watching Bullet Train to anyone who is listening.
Yeah. No, I'll give it a go. I haven't watched that before.
Isn't it about that time, Jez, for your random question of the week?
I'm building myself up to it like you do every week.
Yeah, I want you to sing it as well.
I'm gonna have to sing it, aren't I?
I am sitting down, so I'm prepared.
Favourite. Right, I'm just thinking of the right turn of phrase and trying to ask it like how you ask it.
Don't do a weird voice.
I'm not. No, I won't do. I don't think. Right. Okay. Okay. So, Jez's random question of the week.
That was really good. That was actually pretty good.
Oh my god! So, your name is Morgan Hewitt. This is how you ask it every week.
I know. Yes, that's right. My name is Morgan Hewitt.
Your name is Morgan Hewitt, and your surname is similar to the Hewitt School in Norwich.
Yeah. Yeah.
With that
That's correct.
What is your favourite fictional school and why?
I before you asked me that question, for some reason the Bash Street Kids entered my head. And I would probably say the Bash Street Kids School, but I don't know what it was called.
The Bash Street Kids School. What was it called? Hang on. I'll be able to tell you in a split second. It was called the Bash Street School.
Oh. So my favourite school would probably be the Bash Street. I can't even say it. The Bash Street School.
Yeah. Good. You want mine now, didn't you?
What about you?
So you must remember the In-Betweeners.
Oh, yeah, of course.
So the school in that was called the Rudge Park Comprehensive.
Right.
And it was actually filmed at Ruislip High School.
Oh, really?
Yeah. But I thought Greg Davis in the In-Betweeners was just incredible. I mean, he was actually a teacher in real life, wasn't he? So he kind of probably didn't have to do much in terms of prep for that role, to be honest.
No, I think he's a great he's a great comedian.
Yeah.
The only thing I would say is he kind of reprises the same role. The roles are very similar to each other, aren't they? I do like the cleaner though. It's a little bit.
Yeah.
The cleaner's really good, a really underrated TV show. And it's really fun.
Yeah, I agree with that. Definitely. But yeah, so well, I guess we've come to the end.
Whoa. Who's facilitating this episode?
You.
Yeah. Thank you. So, well, it looks like we've come to the end of this episode, Jez.
Sorry, I forgot my place for a minute.
You did. You can, let me see if I can get this right. You can listen to this podcast. Let me do it properly. In your accent, you can listen to this podcast on all the usual media channels, such as X, formerly known as Twitter, Facebook, Spotify, and you can now actually watch us on YouTube. I've been Morgan Hewitt.
Christopher Waltz.
That's a good one.
Thanks.
That plucked that from downtown. It's your time to say who you are.
We're going to win 10-0 at the weekend, by the way.
Oh, yeah, good. Yeah, we will, because we won't be playing. No one will be playing. So,
I've been Jez Davies.
And I've been, as ever, your long-suffering co-host, Morgan Hewitt. And thank you, everyone, for all of your listens this season. All five of you. What were their names again? Xavier.
Was one of them for sure.
Bill, Hammond, and Olivia.
Yeah, thanks, guys.
Yeah, thanks. And we'll see you over the summer and next season.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
1 sec.
No worries.
That's it for this episode of Beyond the Barclay. Thanks so much for listening. Your support means the world to us. Don't forget to follow or subscribe on your favorite podcast platform and leave a review if you enjoyed the show. You can also catch all our episodes on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and YouTube. And if you've got any questions, stories, or topics you'd like us to cover, get in touch. We'd love to hear from you. Until next time, on the ball, City.